With the sheer performance of the plane and its weapons expansion and wider tactical capability, it was now the yardstick by which all others were measured. In 1958 and 59, it set new records in many fields to reinforce its potency. Even when the new F-4 Phantom II broke some of its records, the 104 went out and reset them again outside the F-4's capabilities. As the prospect of significant US Air Force orders diminished, another market quietly revealed itself in Europe. The sales program outside of the US not only saved the 104 project, but made it into an outstanding success for Lockheed. The StarFighter eventually went into service with 14 air forces and was the nearest to a standard Western fighter aircraft to be achieved. The control systems were tailor-made for individual air forces, and it was put to many and varied uses. One design that saved the 104 was the two-seat variant. US fighters usually included a two-seat version for reconnaissance or training. The StarFighter was no exception. The German Luftwaffe were primarily looking for a ground strike aircraft, but also a multitasking platform for various developing areas. The twin-seat variant was particularly appealing to them. Many more abilities which had been deliberately omitted from the original design were now being considered. As the NATO alliance was seeking to standardize their air forces, the German order was seen as opening this market to Lockheed. The Luftwaffe order was so important to Lockheed that some almost incomprehensible capacities were required from the plane, including barrier landing strength. The StarFighter itself held no problems in coping with enforced rapid deceleration, but the challenge to the pilots was another thing entirely. The whole concept required courage and nerves of steel in bringing it to a successful and safe conclusion. One other more definable addition to the package was the facility of in-flight refueling, by today's standard a mundane requirement of almost all fighter aircraft. Extensive trial and error testing and retesting of the new technology in various forms from myriad tanker aircraft delivered the ability and vastly extended the operational range of the StarFighter. Lockheed's production offset sales strategy would see starfighters manufactured by groups of different European aviation factories. This was the clinching factor in the sales campaign, as it would provide a much-needed boost to the ailing European aviation industry in general. The competition for the contract was very serious, and some of the other competitors were very good aircraft. But by the time it was over, the 104 proved itself to be the outstanding aircraft in the competition. The plane performed effortlessly in the fly-offs, and its edge on the other competitors was so obvious that it was almost no contest at all. By this time, the StarFighter had developed a reputation of demanding the best from its pilots and being very unforgiving if mishandled. But it also had a reputation as being the hottest thing in the air. A well-maintained 104 in the hands of a trained pilot had very few problems, but in the hands of untrained personnel, many accidents occurred. In spite of the common knowledge that the German Luftwaffe had a particularly troubling time with their 104s, losing over 200 planes in accidents, little if any blame can be attached to the aircraft itself. No other customer had any experiences even remotely similar to the German problems. The customer air forces developed many different roles for the 104. In fact, some aspects of the plane were still under development when the last ones rolled out in 1983. When the American Air Force chose not to accept the 104 as a major part of its inventory, it took on many of the other Century fighters. These were all much larger planes that shared, with varied degrees of success, state-of-the-art technology. The 100 Super Saver, the 101 Voodoo, the 106 Delta Dagger Delta Dart were all part of this series, and all disappeared into the annals of history very quickly, even with some limited service in the air over Vietnam. Each of these planes, as fighter interceptor aircraft, took on the guise of a roving missile platform, although with time, each was developed into other varied roles.